today's conference call, you should be able to see my screen, which is a screen of Coinbase, which is the largest Bitcoin exchange. They're located here in the U.S., and they're just exploding because more and more people are wanting to buy Bitcoin. And why are they wanting to buy Bitcoin? They want to be able to buy Bitcoin because Bitcoin is continuing to go up in value. In fact, it's up 800% in the last year. So if you were like a lot of people and you thought the opportunity was to buy Bitcoin was back here pre-2013 when you could buy Bitcoin for around $10 or $12 and it shot up all the way to a price of $1,000. If you thought that was the opportunity to buy Bitcoin and after that it was over, the reality is that Bitcoin is backed and behind a technology called blockchain. And this blockchain technology is changing the way that financial transactions are taking place. In the past, if you wanted to send money to a person, you had to find a third-party financial institution to be the intermediary to handle that transaction. Today, you can actually do Bitcoin, you can buy Bitcoin, and you can buy it on a peer-to-peer network that is not handled by any one institution. When a transaction takes place and we send one Bitcoin from one individual to another, it takes place on the blockchain. And that transaction is being recorded on thousands and thousands of computers in this open source network. As a result, it's a safer, more trusted environment, and it's what's driving the price of Bitcoin. Because people feel confident that they can actually use this exchange effortlessly, very easily, with very little cost. Instead of paying $30 to wire money, you can wire it for $1 or less, in some cases even a nickel, depending on the size of the transaction and the busyness of how many people are using the blockchain technology at that time. So Bitcoin has opened up a number of different cryptocurrencies for people to be able to buy and purchase, which have been going up and down in value since the launch of these different cryptocurrencies. But today we're going to talk about the largest, most secure and largest cryptocurrency, which represents over 50% of all the cryptocurrency in the world and climbing, is Bitcoin. And today you're seeing that at a record-breaking high. In fact, the record-breaking high was actually last night at 9 o'clock when it hit almost 6,000. Unbelievable, because only 2 days earlier, or actually earlier that morning, it was, let's see, down, I guess it was 2 days ago, that it was under 4,000, okay? So it was all the way down under 4,000. Oh, I guess I'm on a one-day chart. We'd have to go back a week. But you can see that it was not very long ago, there we go, on October 11th, I'm not sure if that was just about 36 hours ago, that literally Bitcoin spiked up and hit the mark of 5,000 and it broke. Now why that's important is because what has happened in the past is that there's been predictions about Bitcoin. And some of the predictions are that when Bitcoin got to 1,000, then a lot of people would start taking notice and they would jump in. And that's exactly what happened. They predicted that it would go from 1 to 2 to 3,000. And it did, but not in a year, which they were saying. Some people said 1 to 2 years, which if you double or triple your money in 1 to 2 years, is that a good thing? I think by normal, traditional standards of investing it is. But in the Bitcoin world, it got there in just a few months. And you would think that that was the end and some profit was taking. But in reality, it just kept going. And it went all the way up to 4,000 in just a few months. So we've seen these, 400 or 500% returns in Bitcoin. Now we're seeing it break even 800% return. And the reason is because there's a real fundamental need for this technology and this ability to move an actual cryptocurrency, a coin, or some other intellectual property. So as a result of that, there's a minimal supply of Bitcoin, less than 17 million. And last year there was only 16 million. And then they're just little by little, they're releasing, little bits of Bitcoin every single day. But if the demand is increasing by 1,000%, and the amount of coin available is only increasing by 10%, then the only thing that can happen is that price can go up. So now as we have major retailers like Amazon.com and Overstock.com announcing that they're accepting Bitcoin, it's making the average and ordinary person want to jump in. So what we're seeing is now this price is going to continue to go up. Well, what if there was a way for you to take advantage of the ups of Bitcoin, but you didn't have to worry about any of this downside? You didn't have to worry about these times when it drops literally 1,000 points in a few days. Of course, the traders love that because they're jumping on it and they're riding it back up and they're riding it up and back down. In fact, even, in the last 24 hours, these upswings, these traders are literally trading it up and down. So the big players in Bitcoin, they love these 400 point swings in an hour or a day. They love that. But you and I may not like that. That may make us nervous, and we don't know how to trade, and we don't have time to trade. So what we're going to talk to you about is not Bitcoin. We're not even going to talk to you about trading. We're not even going to talk to you about mining. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you about a company that is doing all of those things and is giving you an opportunity to acquire more Bitcoin by utilizing their company. So this is a safe way to accumulate more Bitcoin. Now, you don't have to recruit other people to do this. You don't have to pay a bunch of fees to do this. You don't have to buy any equipment to do this. You literally just basically have the ability to put your money into some of their services and then receive a set rate of return. Now, before you hear about that, you probably want to know about this company and who this company is. Well, this company is called USI, United Software Intelligence. They've been around for years offering a Forex product that earn between 4 and 5% return on an average monthly. Now, if I said that was yearly, that would probably be okay, but we're talking monthly. Well, their Forex returns were incredible, but they were nothing compared to their cryptocurrency returns. And so the company was investing their own money into trading, mining, and arbitrage. Now, the founders are not new in business. They've taken other companies public. The last company they took public was over a few billion. And so obviously they've done very well financially as major owners of major other financial organizations, and specifically owning a Forex trading platform for years. But when they started making so much money in cryptocurrency and mining, and their Forex program was so well, they decided to open this up to the public and basically making this available for people with as little as $1,000. $1,000, you could basically start your own Forex program. It was during that period of time that they grew by over 50,000 associates joining their firm, this affiliate program. Then they launched their cryptocurrency program, where they would allow people to basically take advantage of what's called a BTC package. This happened in March. It was great timing in March, because if you look at what was going on in the Bitcoin world in March, if we go back here in March, Bitcoin was under 1,000 back in February. And then as they rolled this product out in the middle of March, people were buying Bitcoin packages. And those that did really took advantage of an incredible growth in Bitcoin. But what they got was not only the incredible increase in the value of Bitcoin, they would have got that if they bought Bitcoin. But what they got here is an increase in the amount of Bitcoin. They got 40% more Bitcoin. So if you had 1 Bitcoin and you got back 1.4 Bitcoin and the market went up, you have a double increase. You got 40% more Bitcoin. Hey, if Bitcoin was 1,000 and I got 40% more in 6 months, I probably wouldn't be complaining. 40% return in 6 months. But it wasn't that. In the last 6 months, those that actually got this, they got their 1.4 Bitcoin back, but now Bitcoin's worth almost $6,000. So that puts a $1,000 purchase into a $10,000 increase. That's 1,000% increase if you're doing the math. So let's go back and take a look at what is so exciting about this BTC package, and why has over 200,000 people worldwide decided to get involved with USI and purchase these packages. Well, it's because they're getting that set increase. When was the last time that you knew exactly what your increase was going to be? Now, don't think about this as traditional investing. I've never used the word annual percentage rate or APR. I'm not talking about 1 year or 2 years. I'm talking about a 40% return in approximately 6 months. Why approximately? Because we pay a return instead of at the end of the period, we pay it daily. So USI will deposit an amount of Bitcoin into your USI account every Monday through Friday, every single day, between 0.75 and 1.25, on an average about 1%. So if you got exactly 1% every day off of your Bitcoin purchase, and this lasted for 140 days, you would eventually have a 40% increase or a 140% total return. Same thing. 40% increase is equal to 140% total return because you get all your principal back plus your increased capital. Now, we have a success there. Now, we don't know if it's going to take 140 days. Obviously, if they only paid 0.75 out per day, it would take more like 180 days. If they paid out 1.25 every single day, it would only take about 110 days. But on average, we're seeing it near 140 days, and a little less or a little more depending on a couple good or bad days. But it's very consistent. So if you like the idea of not having a volatile return, but you still want a high return in cryptocurrency, this is it. Now you can do this with as little as $65. To buy one package is $60. To pay the exchange rate, you can buy Bitcoin from anywhere. You can buy it from Coinbase. I just mentioned them a few minutes ago. Or you could buy it from anywhere. But if you do, what is going to happen is the amount of Bitcoin that it's going to cost you is relative to that price. Quite frankly, Bitcoin has gone up in value, so the amount that it costs of Bitcoin per package goes down. The higher the price, the less Bitcoin you need to purchase a package. So the name of the game is how many packages can you acquire. The more packages, the more return. So let's take a look here. If we buy 1,000 packages, it's going to cost us €50 per package, which is approximately $60 US. Or if we compare that to Bitcoin, on the day this was purchased, which would have been months ago, it would have been 0.292 Bitcoin. Today it probably would have been half that amount of Bitcoin. But it really doesn't matter what the amount of Bitcoin is, because the contract is that you're going to get back 40% more of what you put in, unless you use the compounding effect. The compounding effects can double, triple, even quadruple the returns. Let me explain. The compounding effect is what Albert Einstein referred to as the magic of compounding interest. He called it the eighth wonder of the world. And I believe that if Albert Einstein were here today, he would tell you that the ninth wonder of the world is a Bitcoin package compounding. And we call that a rebuy, where you actually let the results of your Bitcoin come in, and as soon as you have enough for another package, you rebuy another package. Now, this is not totally new to the world of money. The mutual fund companies have been doing this for years. They call it dividend reinvestment. And every time there's a dividend, it goes back and purchases more units or more shares of that mutual fund. Well, in a way, packages are sort of like units. The more units you own, the more returns you get. The more returns you get, the more daily return of Bitcoin. You're not getting paid in interest, you're getting paid in daily return of Bitcoin. But the daily return in Bitcoin is also going up in value. So you have an increase of Bitcoin and you have an increasing value of Bitcoin. Same thing in the mutual funds. You get more shares as you have more dividends to buy more shares. The only difference between a mutual fund and this, well, there's many differences, but one is the mutual fund can go up or down because the underlying stocks can go down, therefore the shares can go down. Well, wouldn't it be nice to have something where the value doesn't go down? The amount of Bitcoin that you put in always goes up. And if you want it to go up rapidly, let your increase buy more shares. Let's look. After 140 days, you now have 78 packages. You only put in an initial 2.92. But all of a sudden, you have 0.746 Bitcoin. Because what's happening is every time you get enough for another package, you buy another one. Now, let's think about it. If I have 20 packages and I'm getting 1%, 1% of 1,200 is only $12. A package costs $60. It would take me 5 days before I get my 21st package. And it would take me probably another, 4 or 5 days to get my next one. But every time I get more packages, I'm getting more interest or more Bitcoin revenue. The more Bitcoin revenue I get, the more packages I can buy. Think about it. Once you have 126 packages, you're getting a new package every day. Because 1% of 126 is 1.2, which means I'd be getting one package every day except Friday, and I'd be getting 2 packages on that day. And this continues to grow and grow and grow. We actually took larger numbers and we went into our back office and we did an analysis. And so if you want to do your own analysis, get back to the person who invited you, and they will send you a link to the free back office of USI. There's nothing for sale. If you want to investigate how these packages grow, you want to go do this on your own computer in the privacy of your own home, and you can punch in the number of packages you're considering buying. So if you're considering 100 packages, which would cost $6,000 US, and you wanted to let it rebuild, meaning rebuy every time some money, Bitcoin comes in, you purchase more packages. So you would say, what's it going to look like in 260 days? And we could project that the Bitcoin would cost 1.8. And I got to tell you, the Bitcoin's going to cost less than that. Today, it would only cost 1 Bitcoin approximately to buy 100 packages, because Bitcoin is nearing the price of $6,000. You want to buy Bitcoin as often as you can so that you can take advantage of the price fluctuation. But let's just look at this simple concept here. In 1 year, we have 597 packages, and we only started with 100. The original 100 are gone. They've paid out 140% return, so they no longer exist. They no longer pay returns. But the returns that they paid allowed us to buy another bunch of packages. And those packages allowed us to buy packages. And those packages allowed us to buy packages. Think about it. At the end of the year, you're earning 6 packages a day. When you started, you were only earning 1 package a day. So in 1 year, you now have 6 times more earning power. How much did your Bitcoin grow? It grew up by over 400%. Now, I'm not saying your return is 400%. We don't know what your return is. Going back to the example, if you bought in here when we started this in March, and you bought Bitcoin when it was 1,000, and you got a 400% return of Bitcoin, well, now it's like having 4 Bitcoin, times 4 times the new price of Bitcoin, which is now came down a few points in the last hour, as it continues to do. It will go up and it will go down. Why? Because these are individuals buying and selling every single minute, every single hour. Millions of people buying and selling on a regular basis. So the reality is that this is one of the most powerful concepts I've ever seen. If you're impressed with this, then stop the presentation. But if you want to have your mind blown, take a look at this side of the screen. Because in the following year, it goes 22x more. I thought 6x was great until I was exposed to 22x. So in the second year, this compounding, which I told you Albert Einstein would call the 9th wonder of the world, this same 100 packages has now accumulated in 2 years to 2,200 packages. Now it's earning you 22 new packages a day. You can take that revenue and spend it, or you can reinvest it and allow it to continue to grow. But your 1.8 in Bitcoin has now accumulated to 31 Bitcoin. You know, there's only a few percent in the world that even own 100 Bitcoin, okay? And you actually could accumulate 100 Bitcoin over time using this strategy. Now, maybe it would take a few years. Depends on how much you put in. If you started with, 500 packages, then you'd have 5x of this. Instead of 30 Bitcoin, you'd have 150 Bitcoin. So we're seeing people become wealthy through the purchasing of Bitcoin packages. We're also seeing people become wealthy through the purchase of referring other people. So if I refer someone, I get paid 10% of what they do. That's why so many people are joining, because they're going, wait, there's no cost to join. I can refer others, and I get 10% of the packages that they buy. Not only when they purchase the package, but when the package that they got purchases other package. So it's like getting paid on the reinvestment of dividends from mutual funds. Now, none of us are in the securities industry. I used to be, but none of us are in that industry. There is no licensing for this. This is truly just an affiliate program. You just refer people to the website. If they purchase packages, you get paid. not only do you get paid on the purchases that they do, but you get referrals on the referrals from them. Now, this is incredible. Now, lucky for us, one of the principals was an individual by the name of Mike Kiefer, who's made millions of dollars in the network marketing industry. And he convinced the owners to not just pay out 2 levels, but to pay out 12 levels. And they decided in order to make this available for them, they just needed them to do a minimal amount of activity. Just refer 3 people who each got 12 packages and own the software, their 4X software. And if they did those 2 things, then they would qualify to get paid at 12 levels. So now you know how this works. If you refer 10 people and they refer 3, you have 30 people on level 2. If they refer 3, you now have 90 people. If they refer 3, you have 270 on this level. If they refer 3, et cetera, et cetera. And you could have thousands of people in your group. Over 250,000 people have been referred in the last year. Their 1-year anniversary is October 28th in London. And then after that, we'll have an additional conference here coming up in Dallas that we'll tell you about. But in closing up, I just want to end with, look, this is a real company with real experience, real software. The owners are transparent. They come out and speak. We just had them speak in Seattle. Before that, they were in Philadelphia, and they're coming out here on November 10th to speak again. This is world international business leaders operating in over 80 countries. I don't know the exact number now. They keep opening more countries. But if you just want to become a client, that's great. This is a great place to put some of your money and to own some Bitcoin. Or if you just want to refer others, that's fine too. You decide where you fit into the mix. But one thing you do need to do is just take a look at this software. And when the software I'm talking about is this BTC calculator. You know, run the numbers and just see if owning Bitcoin makes sense to you. Or do you want to miss out on the biggest financial boom that our generation has ever seen? Now, our generation, I'm 51 years old. I remember the .com. I remember thinking, I wish I knew which stocks to buy, and I wish I had money to buy them. I remember thinking, gosh, I wish I would have, done something a little different in the real estate boom. I remember thinking, gosh, should I buy Facebook? Should I not buy Facebook? Should I buy some of these social media stocks that have ridiculous, potential, but they're so overvalued? Who knew? Well, I'm telling you, who knows about this? You do, because you're seeing it. You're seeing what's happening with cryptocurrency. And the experts are saying that the big moves in cryptocurrency will happen after the major companies get involved, after Amazon.com and Walmart and Target and all these big companies start accepting Bitcoin. They said that the big moves will happen after Bitcoin hits 10,000. That's when you'll see the general public move in. And you're seeing banks and financial companies adopting the blockchain. So you know about it. You know it's here. The biggest shift in wealth is about to occur into cryptocurrency. So whether you decide to get involved with USI or not, that's up to you. But please, don't miss out on the biggest boom of your lifetime, the cryptocurrency movement, and understand how real it is. But if you want to decrease the risk, and you want to increase the growth, and you want to compound the results, then get involved with USI and start referring other people.